Hello everyone and welcome to episode 113 of Two Left Thumbs, your source of weekly gaming news, deals and discourse, and your favourite podcast. It probably needs an intro rework because we've changed a little bit since then. My name is Deaf Puppies, I am your host, and joining me this week, fellow podcaster, lover of sad indie games, Peter from How Do I Jump podcast. Dude, how are you?
Hello, happy to be on and continue talking and spreading the joys of sad indie games, of making people cry while clicking on buttons. I love it so much.
Yes, so for those who've just picked up the who I was recently, as of 20 minutes ago, on your podcast. So why don't we start there? Who are you and what do you do?
My name is Peter. I run a website with my lovely girlfriend Katie called How Do I Jump. We have a website where we post gaming news update articles. We're an independent video game news site. You can check us out there on Twitter, HD1Jump, HD the number one jump. One of our main babies is The Weekly Jump, a weekly gaming news entertainment podcast that comes out every Friday morning, where we talk about the week's news or kind of what's happening in the gaming world that week, or weird, obscure games that I want people to know about, and talk about game releases. So if there's that weird thing you heard people talking about, we'll probably explain it for you.
Excellent. So obviously you started this to bring out weird games and bring them to light to share with people. How did this start for you? Like where did the origins of this kind of kick off? So
I have a little bit of a weirder, different history with games. A lot of people. I'm not 8 years old playing Super Nintendo. I don't have I like to jokingly refer to myself as nostalgia proof. I don't have amazing memories of playing Super Mario and stuff. I started playing games when I was 15. I was playing outside all the time and not really interested in games at all. So when I started playing games, suddenly I was given a Sega and 2 drawers full of games from my uncle. So suddenly, out of nowhere, outside became much less interesting. And suddenly I had Sonic 1, Sonic 2, Sonic 3, Sonic and Knuckles, Sonic Spinball. I had all of these games. I just started becoming interested in them and having fun with them. And then I started enjoying it. But then what was fun about it is that I always had to play catch up. So I had another friend, Chris, who runs the podcast with us as well, became friends with him, and I eventually got a PlayStation, and he had this big Rolodex of PlayStation games because these have been out for a while. So I just started, suddenly I had, Tomb Raider 1, Tomb Raider 2, Tomb Raider 3, and I just had all these games that I was just barreling through. I was just catching up with everything. Eventually, I wanted to start playing new games, but I didn't grow up very, very rich. Renting games would happen. Eventually, I found out that if I read about games and I know about the games coming out, I can suggest them to people. And this magic thing happened where hey, Pete, I really love this game. Do you want to borrow it now that I'm done? And then it was just fuck yes, I can play all the games I want to play now.
Nice.
So I kind of just eventually throughout my life, I just became the guy who knew about games, and I loved researching them, knowing what was coming out. And then eventually in college, I was getting tired of telling people the same thing because people would just come up to me hey, what's this game coming out? What's this game coming out? And I would tell people the same thing again and again and again. So I decided to make a podcast. And junior year of college, I started the first episode of Pete's weekly video game roundup with a shitty little camera in the corner of my apartment junior year of college. Just me at a table, just being play freaking the new Hitman game or something. Or, I was playing Fancy Pants Adventures. And I was telling people. So when people would come up to me, I would be just watch the video. Don't fucking talk to me. Which is a very nice thing to say to people.
I mean, so look, if streamers can do it now, why you started this is your fault. This is why streamers record YouTube videos. Go watch the video. Go watch the video.
Go to the video.
The godfather of the go watch the video line, ladies and gentlemen, we have him.
Yeah, so that was about 7 years ago. I graduated. Oh, no more. That's got to be, oh shit, it's over 10 years, I guess, because I graduated college in 2012. And I started junior year of college, so it was like 2010 or something. So then I realized I didn't want to do it by myself anymore. So I asked my friend Chris, and then I wanted to be like, let's do this like together. There's this new thing called podcasting, as if you can remember 10 years ago, podcasting was starting to get hot. Like, let's do a podcast. So we're like a bunch of friends talking about games. Started with that. We just had fun doing it. We kept doing it. It changed from video to audio to live streams to back to audio and events and websites, and it's just like continued since then, and just became how do I jump? Many different things.
So what's your favorite method of delivering casts? Because I know you've said you've got some stories when it comes to like recording. I'd love to hear some of those. But so like out of all the live audio video, what's kind of your favorite to record, and what's been the most hassle?
My favorite to record is I've done an interview series as well called Indie Interviews, where I talk to independent game developers about their games. And when we could go out and stuff, I would mostly do it in person. I would go to conventions. I'd bring my mic. I'd bring my phone. I would grab an indie dev, drag them to a separate room, and talk to them for like 45 minutes. And
that wouldn't have been terrifying for them at all. So this guy's driving me, we're going to room. What's going on? Where are we? Help!
I'm 6'2". They didn't have a lot of a choice. I just I noogied them, and I chokehold and dragged them to another room. Like, tell me about your game. What are the pixels? And so that is my favorite part. My girlfriend and I, with the Weekly Jump right now, we record together and play games or record things together locally, like face to face with another person is my favorite, with a close second being over Zoom or Discord, or like being able to visually see the other person while you talk. It makes
it so much easier, like, because it's like, I mean, I've done the audio video live stream as well, and it makes it so much easier to like read cues off a conversation when you can actually like see the person in front of you, and you can like, all right, this is like, you can see how they're feeling and when to kind of jump in, because I think that's something I always struggle with the audio, is I just start jumping in when they take a breath, because I can't, like, because I was I came from radio as well. Dead space is bad, and so always talking. So you hear a second of silence, and you instinctively just start talking, and they continue the sentence. Oh no, I sound like an asshole now. Shit. It's a hard habit to break, and I think the visual cue of a conversation. Also, it's nice to see people. It doesn't make you feel as lonely.
And that's what so my favorite and the biggest hassle. What I completely agree with you. Like, seeing people, like, you can kind of tell when someone's about to be done speaking, or they can visually tell that you have something that you want to say. So like, I'm gonna wrap up what I'm saying because they have something. It's just like that natural flow. We wanted to do it in person, and I had the weird idea originally. Have you ever seen that '70s show?
Yes.
You know, like the turntable start.
Yep. I know. Yep.
I wanted to do like a turntable podcast. So what I did was I got my laptop with the webcam, and I put it on top of a cake display in the middle of all of us. And then anytime someone would talk, we just spin the laptop to them, and it was a video podcast where like it would continually spin, and they would have it right in front of their face, and you could visually see them, and it was like you're hanging out with your friends in the basement, and like the camera keeps turning. The issue quickly became that the first time we turned it, and I was like, "Hi everyone, and welcome to the Weekly Jump," and I turned it, and it crashed to the side, and like jumbled a whole. And it actually became our intro for such a long time because it was perfect and beautiful. Because it went down the side, it kind of like bounced a little bit, and then Chris kind of like tilts his head. The people who are on the visual thing will enjoy this. Kind of tilts his head down just to be like, "Well, that's it for the jump, I guess." And like, it was this perfect start. Of like just casual, like we're relaxed, we're fucking up, we're doing things, we're trying. Eventually, we taped down the laptop in it, but then it became annoying to like remind people to turn it towards themselves, and like people watching it started to get vertigo. Like, so,
I can imagine. Yeah, I was gonna say that could cause some nauseous issues watching. I mean, I like the concept though; it's cool. Maybe there's a way you could do it in post, in the magical world of post, with if you recorded recorded all three, right, visually.
Like recorded them individually?
Recorded them individually, and then you could have like, because you can get pre-built transitions, and then it just kind of swipes between them, and you have like a filler screen in the middle. It might just be a shot of a room or whatever. You make it work.
Yeah.
Could be something you'd
there's like little blur transitions and stuff.
Yeah.
It would be
blur.
Yeah, it would be a lot better now. Back then, I was working with like a 6-year-old laptop that was overheating in my lab. But you said that was another thing that I really enjoyed about this is the technological hurdle. You said you came from radio, so you had like training in like audio recording and editing and stuff.
I wouldn't say training. It was
sorry to turn it on the podcast.
Yeah, it was back when I was a lot younger. I was like 17, 18. I was just doing like a local uni radio.
Okay.
So I learnt the basics of kind of how to use the equipment, how sound and audio work. Also did some time working as doing backstage, doing lighting and stuff too. Which so I always loved the dramatics, but I never had the talent to be an actor. So I just ended up being like backstage all the time. That way I could still hang out with all the cool people. And
that's what I did. So I'm with you. Myself and Katie, we're actors primarily. We are performers, and I have always found myself on film sets or on stage hanging out with the techies. The techies are the fun people. You hang out with them, and they're usually the people who like video games and comic books anyway, as I can see from your background. So I want to hang out with them anyway. They're fun.
You're fun. We get that's the thing. We can get up to shenanigans, and it doesn't affect us. Like we could like paint our faces and like draw on things. It doesn't matter. You can have a laugh. As
long as you're wearing a black shirt, you're fine.
Black shirt, you're fine. Comms in with text are hilarious as well. You just start like picking on the actors, like you see what they're doing.
That's another reason why I'm very nice to the techies. I don't want the lights to go out on me.
Yeah, that's it. Just like, don't you come onto the stage, just everything just goes dark. He's like, well, I've pissed somebody off.
Yeah.
So all that kind of background, it was always there, and then to pick up streaming because I talk to myself when I play video games anyway, and it's like, well, why not? You know?
Why not invite strangers into that?
Exactly. I mean, and it's now become my main angle of social interaction because I don't have time for anything else. I barely have enough time for this. It's full-time work and family and creating is it's fun.
God bless you for balancing all that, man. You said you had your kids, you're playing games with them.
It's more like I'll drop one thing then pick it up later. But yeah, no. So I play quite often with my kids when I get a day off. We kind of jump on the afternoon, and I've been playing Halo with them recently. In the multiplayer, I've taught them to teabag. The stakes have been made.
That's great.
Yeah.
Do they suck? Are they any good? Like, can you start?
They're getting better. Like, so I've got 3. One's 10, one's 8, one's 6. They're all boys, and they're slowly improving. Like I will genuinely lose. I mean, I'm not great by any means. I'm well known for being fucking terrible at video games. But I'm seeing an improvement. They're hitting shots. They're beating me in like 1v1s. And sometimes I have to like think because for the first few games I just meme on them. I just like do dumb shit and like try and do 360 no scopes on them and stuff. But now they're actually getting to a point where they've figured out, hey, if we all work together, we can absolutely just wreck Dad, and then we'll just fight out the rest amongst ourselves. I've created a monster, and I kind of like it.
So while Dad's respawning, we'll fight.
Yeah, exactly. We'll wait for Dad to respawn and fight each other out a bit, and then we'll just all turn on him again. I'm feeling picked on. I'm gonna have to start assigning teams. Am I right? You're with me now.
You're getting bullied by your children.
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle. I started it, and now they're finishing it. It's fine though. It's good to see improvement though.
That's great.
So, speaking of playing things, what have you been playing lately? I know we discussed this before, but what have you?
That's
been up
always
to,
the
man?
big question. I do find that anytime you tell people like you do like video game journalism stuff, they're always just like, well, what's your game you're writing? What's your favorite game? I always find it so difficult. I'm glad you said, what am I playing right now? because that is much better than like, what is your favorite game of all time? Because it's very difficult.
It's so hard to pick because it changes too, right? Like,
yeah.
15, 20 years ago when I started playing games, it is very different to the games I'm playing now, and my tastes have changed. I mean, I still appreciate a lot of those older games, but it kind of evolves into this thing of like, well, I like these games. Like, I used to love Assassin's Creed. Yeah.
Oh my God, you want to talk about my terrible relationship with Assassin's? I have ranted about Assassin's Creed on the podcast for years, for being fully in love, head over heels, played every single one of them, played all the DLCs, read all the comics, some of the only collector's edition stuff I have is Assassin's Creed stuff. Fucking loved Assassin's Creed. 3 happened, and it wasn't great. 4 won us back, and then it's just been a downhill thing, and eventually it just was like an abusive relationship for a while, and now I'm fully off it. I understand. I feel like I'm talking after like AA or something like that. I feel like I've gone through this like strenuous thing that people love it. It has become a different game that people love. It is not the game I love anymore.
Yeah. I'm kind of there with you. I went through a similar things once Origins came out, which was the first kind of move to the open world RPG style. I'm like, I'm not loving this right now. I appreciate that, because I mean the game needed to evolve in some way, shape, or form. Like, it was like, especially after Unity,
did it though, or did it just need to go modern day and them to complete the fucking story instead of milking out every single part of Assassin's Creed that they could?
This is true.
Or did they just have a story arc that they were done with and they just wanted to keep it fucking going? Or did that happen?
Because money. Fucking
exactly.
They wanted to make money, and I get
the moment.
Right?
Yeah, I don't get it. No, fuck you, Ubisoft. You have enough money. Fuck you. Just finish it. And like, if I got into a section, I've ranted about this a billion times, but just the moment in Assassin's Creed when I can sneak up behind somebody with my hidden blade and stab them, and they don't die, you lost me. I can't assassinate people in Assassin's Creed. This isn't my game. Fuck, I'm very mad. And I don't like it. And you teetered with this historical fantasy where it was still like kind of conceivable that these people existed, and now we're straight up superheroes. And it's not my jam.
Yeah, that is fair. I fell off after Origins for a bit.
Are you back on? Am I pissing you off?
No, not at all. I came back and I went, all right, cool, whatever. And then Odyssey came out. And I really, really enjoyed Odyssey because I looked at it not as an Assassin's Creed game. I'm all right, cool. Game about Spartans kicking shit off ledges. I'm about this. I spent a solid 160 hours playing that. Really, really enjoyed it. And I thought, you know what? And Valhalla was coming up. You know what? I really enjoyed that. Maybe I'll enjoy Valhalla.
No, not a fan. I heard it was a bit of a downgrade.
I haven't finished it. It's not so much a downgrade. It's the way that the game is structured that I don't like. So with Odyssey, it was like big main story, sprawling quests, choices you had to make, all that kind of good stuff that you want like a big RPG, right? Valhalla did the same thing, but not really, because each gameplay section, like each kind of like area you had to go to unlock the next area, because they went back to that weird format, because it wasn't as open as Odyssey. It was the same. So you go to an area, you talk to a guy, you do 3 things for said guy, you do 1 mission with the guy, you've defied a bunch of dudes, move on to the next area. And I was like, okay, cool. First few sections, I'm like, all right, cool. This is fine. It's going to ramp up. This is just kind of introducing you to the base mechanics of the game. Fine. I'm 3/4 of the way through the game. That hasn't changed. And I'm like, no, I can't do it. Like, I thought I'd have fun and play with shields only, just to make life difficult for myself.
Oh yeah, you're like smacking. I have been reading and looking after it, like stalking my ex-girlfriend on Facebook or something. Like, I read the story and the general plot and the ideas, because I remember the good days we had together, and maybe it'll be good again, and it's not, and it's unhealthy. But I was reading that apparently, like, so much so that they're taking the assassin out of it. Like, you you kind of like tangentially meet the assassins like kind of once.
Yeah.
And they made it like linear, and then you're like, I'll guess I'll kill someone, and then you just kind of continue with your life. Like they kind of just like mess around. I don't know. I fully agree. It is
briefly meet them, and then it's like, okay, cool. I'll do some quests for you, and it doesn't become. It's not, from what I've told so far, not part of the main story. It's just kind of like a side thing, and No.
But anyway, it's a different game. It's still very, very popular. People like it. But like you said, it is not Assassin's Creed anymore. But to talk about something like I actually am loving, currently, I am obsessed with playing Loop Hero. I don't know if you've heard about it.
So much about this game, but I don't know much about it. Like I think there was another cast I was listening to earlier this week, Shadow Controls and Coffee, they're good friends of ours. Kat was playing it, and that's the first time I've really heard any kind of description. So talk to me about Loop Hero. What's the base? Where do we go from here?
I've been following it because it's been kind of the indie game in the indie verse that has been like the anticipation for the game coming out has been up for a while because it's like got these different mechanics, and it's weird, it's changing things, and it's adding all these different mechanics, and it seems very interesting and unique. So it is I don't know how many indie games you play, but a lot recently, indie games have been roguelites. And which is you play again, you die, you play again, you level up a little bit, you play again, you level up a little bit. And people have been trying to just shove the roguelike formula into different things to varying degrees of success. I personally have just gotten kind of fed up with it because of how much has been happening. Like I just want to play a game and finish it. So this is a roguelite dungeon crawler deck building RPG.
That's a lot
weird.
Going on. Yeah.
Yes. And you don't even play as the main character. So here's the thing. Like a procedurally generated loop is created. And then your little heroes on part of it. And little slimes, little monsters populate the area around it, and it automatically runs by itself. It's one of those idle games. So he walks, he interacts with an enemy, automatically fights and attacks, enemy drops items, you equip them with better items, and you just keep going with that. It makes you feel kind of dungeon mastery, because sometimes the enemies drop tiles, and the tiles can be like a different type, like a forest, and then that'll spawn different types of enemies. Ruins, and that'll spawn these type of enemies. It can spawn a vampire castle that you can put next to other things, so vampires will start appearing on those things. And you want to start leveling up your hero and putting these tiles down, and you want to give them a challenge, but also don't be too hard, because you want them to keep leveling up, be stronger and stronger and stronger, and add more and more stuff, and gather as many resources as possible. And then you get to do this kind of risk and reward. You can either wait until you finish a loop and then leave and you get everything you got, or you can retreat anytime during the loop and get 60% of what you got, or you can die, and when you die, you still keep 30% of what you got.
So you're always kind of progressing through.
Yeah, it's a game that a lot of people have. I just find myself thinking, I'm doing something, I could just have this running in the corner, because there's a lot of settings where it like auto pauses after a fight or auto pauses after a loop. I found myself putting it on 2x speed and setting it to pause per loop, and just have it in the corner, do other things, check it every so often, equip them, find out other things, have it loop. And then if I really feel like engaging fully with it, like, okay, this is going to be the loop where I focus on it completely and I try to beat the loop this time, or not just kind of like a resource gathering thing. It's this very addictive, like little roguelike thing of just like, oh, I'll just get it. It just feels like something you just have running in the background. The music's really, really fun and catchy and chiptune-y, and it's just like, it's just running in the corner.
Right, so the tiles you mentioned, though, they're obviously different environments that you can place down for your hero in the loop, yeah?
Yeah, that's the deck building aspect of it. As you continue, you can unlock you meet certain characters, you upgrade your base camp, and you can start adding different cards to your deck. and you have a maximum of 12 cards, so you have to like delete some cards, and you start finding out which cards work together, which cards work like this, like which bounce off each other, which is like more efficient, which makes stronger monsters. Like it's kind of this opposite thing, because you don't want to be nice to your hero, you kind of want to be mean. You want them to fight big strong monsters and get stronger and get better stuff. So you keep like building up, and then you kind of continue like that. And actually, for the first time I did, after you add a certain amount of tiles, the Lich spawns, and you can complete the loop and either decide to leave or fight the Lich. And fight the Lich is very, very powerful, but if you defeat them, you get a bunch more of even special resources, and you can continue looping and gathering stuff. And I just beat my first Lich, which I'm very excited about today.
Nice. So so I'm assuming that's like the big boss of the game. How do the fight mechanics work for that?
Nothing. You don't do anything. You just watch them fight.
Oh, right.
The item. Yeah, you don't do shit. The items you give to them increase attack speed, increase counter percentage, increase defense percentage, increase evade percentage. You can do things where you build stuff. You can do this thing called vampirism, where every time you attack, you get a certain percent back. So if you start seeing items like, okay, this build, I'm going to focus on vampirism, where I'll try to get, maybe I won't equip the strongest weapon, but this weapon has plus 20% vampirism, so I'll still get 25% of health back every time I attack someone. And you kind of create builds on the fly with what they give you.
Right, interesting.
It's very addictive.
It sounds dangerously addictive. Like, not I want to like look into it, but I don't know if I want to look into it. You know, it's like, do I commit to this? Because I mean, like I said, it's an idle kind of game, so you can kind of like just let it swing. It's whatever. But
and it has this perfect like time. Yeah,
the compulsion to check things all the time for me would be just like, ugh, can't.
It itches that. It itches that right in there, real hard. It itches that.
Yeah.
How about this? If you wouldn't mind, this is one of my favorite things to do. I like suggesting indie games for people.
Yes.
So what kind of games do you enjoy? Like, what kind of experiences do you enjoy, or what kind of experiences are you like looking for?
Honestly, I don't know at the moment. I'm currently playing catch up with a lot of backlog stuff.
I don't know that game.
Don't know that game. Don't know at all. It's how you fucking originated. It's fine.
It's just Steam sales. It's fine. It's fucking
Steam sales. Yeah, I'm not even getting to there. Like, I'm just talking about main games that I'm interested in. Like, like Valhalla. I'm halfway through Cyberpunk. I'm halfway through Control. I have so many games going on, and so at the moment I'm really stuck into single player experiences. I'm not a huge Rogue fan personally, just because again it's the dying respawning. Just for me it feels kind of tedious. I spent a lot of my time playing Destiny and grindy games like that. I think which have slightly worn out their welcome in my soul at the moment. I'm just like kind of hunting for like really cool single player experiences.
I'm with you, dude. Yeah. There's nothing wrong with a focused single player, even like 8-hour experience. There's nothing wrong with that. And I very much love that too.
Because like right now, games are like what? It's like 30 hours is a short game. And he's like, what the hell, man?
You gotta stop playing Assassin's Creed games, man. Those are like 150.
It is. It's ridiculous. And like, I want time for all these games, but but
they want your time.
They want your time, and they make you invest it to get the best out of the game, and you don't want to do that ever, because it's just too much. Because there are some great games out there. Like, I only recently caught up with all the PlayStation 4 exclusives last year. Because I only just recently got a PlayStation. So I went through like God of War, the entire Uncharted series. And I think we've lost him. That who's turned into a very beautiful painting. Dad, I have a technical issue. Is back.
So sorry about that. Yeah, I just opened Steam to like look at a list of games I have to suggest something to you, and it's just like, nope, you're gone.
Nope, not today. No games for you.
So
yeah.
You were talking about PlayStation 4 games.
Yeah, PlayStation 4. So I recently went through God of Us. Jesus Christ, words are hard.
God of Us.
God of Us.
God of War. I would play the shit. I'd play the shit out of the Last of Us God of War. It'd be so good.
I mean,
talking about again how much I love sad games.
That would make The Last of Us a little bit better. That'd be great.
We could talk about that in another episode. We can dive into that now,
man. Because I played through them all. God of War, fantastic. Last of Us, I love the story. Gameplay was I accepted it as an older game.
Really?
So it was. I didn't like the gameplay.
Felt the opposite.
Really?
We found ourselves really enjoying this because so I'm not huge into many multiplayer games. Right. I don't. Honestly, the only like multiplayer games I've really gotten into are like Overwatch, the Assassin's Creed multiplayer, which was fucking baller, and they fucking stopped.
Oh my god, how underratedly good was it? I used to
love
that shit.
It's one of the only multiplayer games I ever prestiged in, and I prestiged in that fucking game twice. Like I could not stop playing it. I loved it so much, and I don't get why it stopped. It was brilliant.
One of the other things that stopped me playing that was my connection, because I was in Australia on dial-up, which, I mean, our internet is shit enough as it is. It was terrible.
I've been resisting asking this for you. I'm like, how do you even play games in Australia? Like,
it's better now. So
right, games actually launch in Australia now, right?
They do launch, and I can get games. The problem is that there is never enough servers for Oceanic, right? And there's so normally I have to get paired up with people in Asia and Southeast Asia, which is fine, but it's already adding around 30 to 40 ping each round. If I want to play with American friends, I'm looking at about 300 to 400 ping. So I'm basically a stuttering image of the screen. Like it makes fast-paced multiplayer games kind of annoying. Not good, but for the most part, like, technology is getting better now, and I'm noticing things are getting a lot smoother in that regard, which is nice. But yeah, back when the Assassin's Creed multiplayer was out, it was a nightmare. I'd assassinate someone, and then they'd kill me, and I'm like, wait, what?
That's supposed to work.
Yeah, that's not how this works. I hit the button and I did the animation. Why am I not getting the kill?
That's because you were playing Assassin's Creed Odyssey and the assassination doesn't work anymore. Just trying to burn Odyssey real quick. Don't worry about me.
You've got to do it twice, right?
Yeah. What multiplayer games were we just talking about? I'm sorry, I jumped out. I was going to work to a point. Because I was just going to work up to it. What did you inspire me to go to Assassin's Creed? To talk about the Assassin's Creed. What were we just talking about before this?
I was talking about Last of Us gameplay being butts.
Oh, yes. So, yeah. Last of Us 1 is one of the only multiplayer games I actually loved playing so much because it was kind of slower paced and different and heavy, and you felt every shot, and you had to like go around and like collect things and like make them on the spot, and it felt very like visceral. It was a different type of multiplayer game, and it was, again, one of the only games I ever prestiged at. Like, I wanted to keep playing it. So the meat and potatoes gameplay of Last of Us is so much fun. And then in the sequel, they continued that. You could go completely prone under things. Ellie was like much more brutal and mobile, and they added just tons of great verticality, and the guns felt really good, and the enemies were so much smarter, and the melee upgrades were so much fun. I found myself really enjoying that experience. And the story was really good, but became very predictable and very long, in our opinion. Like, we got what was going on, and the last few hours, I felt like some of my time was being stretched and wasted in terms of the plot.
Yeah, fair. See, I played this as an older game. So I had just come off the back of playing through the Uncharted series. And then I went to Last of Us. And I'm like, this is the same. Like the basic combat. I'm like, I get it. Same developer. That's cool. But I hadn't noticed any major difference, which I found frustrating. It wasn't like a leap in. Like I was still having the same issues with Last of Us as I was having with Uncharted 2. And I'm like, Naughty Dog, get your shit together. Like, the gameplay should be better by now.
Shooting mechanics are bad. They're not great.
Terrible.
They're not great.
They're fucking terrible.
The bullet sponges are not good times.
The helicopters are worse, man. I swear to God, I have PTSD from those fucking helicopters in all those games. I played them back to back, which probably wasn't the wisest move. And every like boss fight, giant helicopter, I was like, oh, here we go again. I can shoot the helicopter.
I can understand that fully. Yeah.
Yeah. The story of Last of Us. It wasn't so much about the plot points for me. As a father. That connection between Joel and Ellie and watching that grow is what I truly enjoyed in that game. The plot point, the basic plot points and the thing that moved the story along was fine. It was whatever. But that watching that connection and that relationship grow is what I really, really enjoyed about that game.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was referring to Last of Us 2. I fully agree. Last of Us 1 gameplay and plot is stunning and beautiful. The plot problems I had were good. Okay, the plot problems I was having was with the sequel.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'm so sorry. No, Last of Us 1, masterpiece on every single account. Beautiful in every single way. And that one, I didn't feel like my time was wasted. I think once you hit fall in that game, I literally couldn't stop playing until I finished it. I just didn't do anything else. I couldn't stop.
No, it was done so well. Like the story was like it was like again, it was more of that connection for me, watching that relationship go, which was the main plot point of that story. The rest was just kind of scenery changes and some game mechanics thrown in. But yeah,
and
zombies, exactly, and zombies. They were fun. Clickers are interesting creatures. I'm thinking, I'll just punch them. No. You gotta punch them with a special thing, but you gotta find that, and it's like, oh, fine. I'm just gonna avoid them at all costs.
Gotta knife them.
Just knife them. Give them the old jabby. But yeah, slowly getting through the PlayStation ones. Played Spiderman and God of War, which is great. I'm so excited for the second one now, and it's the only reason I will even look at getting a PlayStation 5 if they ever become available.
Oh, for God. Yeah, heaven forbid. Also, another thing that I was waiting to bring up eventually with your background, I am a massive Spider-Man fan. I've read all the comics and everything. Yes. Like he's my boy. Spidey. I saw the comics behind you. I see Spidey.
Yeah, I've got a couple there. I've got a few pops there. Spider-Man's kind of a go-to for me. It's between him and the Flash. This is my
it's good. You like fast talking fun heroes that get fucking sad. That gets sad.
Like it is always the fun ones. I mean, yes, Batman had his parents killed by a mugger. Fucking,
but the
Flash had his parents killed by his arch nemesis he hadn't even fucking met yet.
Yeah, and then he had to let his mom die again.
Yes,
to save the timeline. It's fucked up. It's because it's the ups and downs, because they are fun and they're so great and you're having a good time with them, and then all of a sudden Doc Ock takes over his body and everything sucks. It's just like you feel so horrible.
Yeah,
Dan Slott. I feel personally attacked by Dan Slott. Like I don't know if you were reading that arc, the Superior Spider-Man arc.
It's not one I've read yet, but
I've
been planning to
for a year. It's beautiful and heartbreaking the entire time.
I love it.
So yeah, no, the Spider-Man games are great. Miles Morales, I don't know if you played the regular one. You got the Miles?
Yeah. I played the regular one on PS4. But yeah, I played the first one. Absolutely loved it. I love that universe. I love the swinging mechanics was so good. And Insomniac did such a good job on the movement and everything. It was just
that felt like a AAA game that was conquerable. Like that was big enough, and I found myself doing enough and wanting to finish everything, and everything felt doable and rewardable. Like it felt like a very good balance of a lot, but I can handle it.
Yeah, no, it was a good open world, because it was like I said, it wasn't too big. It was not obsessively big, fucking Assassin's Creed, where you needed, it took you like 10 in-game hours to travel across half the map. You can fling across New York in a couple of minutes, or you can take the subways. And the side quests and like little kind of go collectible things were kind of fun to do as well. They had like their own mini game mechanics and stuff like that, which was always fun. Again, they did such a good job.
Being the Spider-Man nerds that I'm sure me and you are, just like finding out what this universe's history is. Like finding out their version of Pete is really fun.
And spotting all the Easter eggs too.
Yeah.
Oh, I know this. This is from this.
And it felt like the Arkham Asylum games where it's just like he's been Spider-Man for a while. We're not fucking around. Sinister Six is already around. Like, you know who they are. You know what's going on. Punch people. Have fun. And then like here's Mr. Negative, who's a new fucking hero, villain from the comics that they're using. And I love that so much.
That was awesome. Giggling. I would have liked to see more big boss fights though. That's my only kind of issue, because when we go, like, we're talking about Spider-Man, the Miles Morales game, and that big opening scene with the fight with Peter and Rhino, and there's all that shit going on, and it was so fucking cool. And that was the only time you saw it. I was like, because when I went into it, I'm like, I really hope that they have come to some of those bigger moments with like the big villains. And they weren't there in the first one, and then they started with this second one. I'm like, oh god, if this is the opening, I really hope it ramps up from here. And it just kind of didn't. I was like, oh, okay. I still love the Miles Morales game. It's the first game my oldest son 100% completed as well. It's a little
that's awesome
moment for me. But yeah, it's
I felt like they advanced the fighting so much, like the fighting, just his abilities of electricity and the kinetic energy or whatever, and his invisibility. The fighting felt much more fun. The first one was so much fun, but it just felt like they improved on it in every single way in the sequel.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's weird that it wasn't a sequel. Like it was a very short experience. That was kind of it was an expansion. Like the only reason I think they sold it as a separate game was because money. Because like I played it on the PlayStation 4.
Yeah, and because of the PS5, they wanted to do a exclusive game. They wanted a PS5 exclusive.
Yeah, I don't like the way they sold that either. It's like, this is exclusive to PlayStation 5, but it's also available on PlayStation 4, but we don't want you to know that. Yeah.
I played it PlayStation 4.
yeah. I mean, so yeah, and I had no performance issues. It worked well. It looked gorgeous. I'm assuming for those, if PlayStation 5s are even real, I think I know people that are pretending to have them. It looks like, we get the ray tracing and everything, which look phenomenal. But yeah, the games, it's such good games. I can't wait to see more. I want to see where they go. Are we going to see a Gwen Stacy? Or, I don't know, what would you like to see next out of these games? Where would you like to see them go?
It's the same thing as I feel about the current Spider-Man Marvel movies, which they're doing great. And I love that they're choosing the more obscure villains. It's not just like Doc Ock and things. Like, I love that it was the Vulture as a villain. I love Kraven the Hunter, and I want a Kraven's Last Hunt-esque arc so bad. Because also, it's one of the saddest arcs in Spidey, and as I said before, I like sad shit. So I'm hoping for Kraven. With all the hints and everything, it seems we're getting some sort of Venom, which I'm also happy about, because Venom is a beautiful villain done right.
Is so, yeah, like the balance between like the whole anti-hero thing with Venom is just it's done so well. And like there's like so many different iterations as well throughout the different universes where he is just a good guy with the Venom. Like there's like Agent Venom and stuff like that, and it's a really cool balance to have. Venom's a fantastic character all on its own. Like even if you're going just into the history of the Venom microbe itself, and then we got some crazy shit happening.
And there's also like God of Darkness guy who's around, who's like the originator of all of Venom and everything. That guy, they announced him like a few years ago.
Yeah, I remember that.
The new big bad dark guy who was there like before the Big Bang, and he's like all of Shadow. He's a symbiote, and he's fucking baller.
Yeah, the absolute badass. I'd love. Yeah, I'm excited to see a Venom one. Carnage. I don't know if they'll. Maybe they could do it. I mean, if they bring in Venom, they're going to bring in Carnage at some point. Maybe as an expansion
Trust
I think
whatever they're doing. Yeah, I'm excited.
Yeah. They did Black Cat already with the expansion, so
Yeah, if she can come back.
she can come back.
Black
That'd
Cat
be
was a
good.
great time. They
It
did
was.
fucking Hammerhead or whatever. He was fun too. That's why I like that they're dipping into the different villains. Starting off with Kingpin is like, oh no, you're doing Kingpin. That makes me so happy.
Yeah, I mean, Kingpin was kind of an obvious choice because he's one of the most like more known Spidey villains. Maybe even just like delving more into the Sinister Six would be cool too. Like, I mean, I know we had like that fight, but if we like, well, like even if it was like a previously on like how they got to that point with like where Spider-Man had locked them up previous to the first game, like a prequel kind of deal, would be kind of neat. I'd like because yeah, the character. Oh,
it's fun. It's gonna be a good time.
It's so much fun, man.
So I still haven't suggested anything to you. So you want something like tight single player, and it seems like kind of pretty. Like you want something kind of like that
Always
looks
pretty,
kind
man.
of AAA.
I love pretty. Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with pretty. Pretty's good. How are you with like horror and sad shit?
Horror, I find dull.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I'm just desensitized to it. Like I understand the themes behind it, and I like weird, creepy shit. Like I played through the medium, and Control is a lot of weird shit, which is great as well. But like the whole horror jump scare vibe thing, I'm like.
I'll be honest with you. I didn't finish the medium. The medium's not a. It's not a great example. I didn't enjoy it very much. I was actually going to suggest Alan Wake to you because if you like Control, I think Alan Wake is stunning.
I loved Alan Wake. It was great. It was one of the first games I played out of like outside of the world of first-person shooters. Because very big COD boy, fucking going around trying to like wreck shit in multiplayer and zombies and stuff, and then I played Alan Wake, and yeah, I fell in love with it. I'm like, I need to play more shit like this.
How about this? I know because when we talked on our podcast that you just finished playing Doom.
Mm-hmm.
If you want something pretty and high energy and single player with a story, have you heard about Ghost Runner?
I loved the shit out of Ghost Runner. Okay. Oh my god, it was so good. Like, I hate that game so much, and I fucking love it. I have a death count. I had a death count for that game. I can't remember what it was. It was on my Twitter.
It was high
somewhere.
Up, I assume.
It was in the thousands.
I'm glad I'm on the right path, though. I'm glad I'm in the neighborhood of things you have actually
Ghost Runner. Like watching speedruns of that now, holy shit. Like, I thought, this would be really good for the speedrunning community. I've been watching some, and like they've got the whole game down to like sub 44 minutes. And like they're just like going totally off the map. It's like, I didn't even know that avenue was possible.
So speedrunners aren't real people. I don't believe. Speedrunners are insane. I love awesome games done quick so much. Yeah. So much so that we started our own charity stream called Painful Games Done Slowly. Where because we're similar to you, where we're not great at games, but we're fun. Yeah. And we play painfully bad or painfully difficult games on a stream for charity. So either something that's just like really, really bad or very, very difficult, like Ghost Runner or something. And we get through it and we have challenges and stuff. And we find like funny, casual, pretty good gamers like yourself or something come on. We're working on having it work in the current climate. But I love that whole. I watch Awesome Games Done Quick twice a year, every time it's on. It's great.
Yeah, let me know if you get into that. That
sounds
like that sounds like right down my alley, just doing dumb shit in hard video games.
Here's what I usually like to do one huge dumb thing at the end. A friend of ours never played a single Zelda game. So what I did was I gave him Ocarina of Time and I shoved him in front of the water temple. And he has never touched and I just gave him the controller, and he had no idea what he was doing. Friends were just screaming at him to like hookshot. It was delightful. It was delightful. It was very, very fun.
You cruel man. I love it.
Another year, I had a friend of ours who she played every single Halo game, but she only played the multiplayer. She hasn't played a single player level of Halo. So
That's so
plugged
weird.
in. Yeah, she only ever played the multiplayer, so she knows
the way around. I played all the single player and never played the multiplayer until like Halo 3. And I was like, what the fuck is this?
This is great. I can teabag. So I brought her in the Halo 1. I put it on Legendary, and I went to the library. You remember the library from Halo 1? It was when the Flutter coming at you?
Yeah.
It was bad news. It was bad news.
That sounds like a terrible time. Man, I hated the Flood at the best of times. Let alone on Legendary. That was like, Legendary was the worst for that kind of shit. So just like, here's enemies. Have all of them, by the way, and they're all just gonna fuck you up.
Yep. And if you're playing co-op, if one of you dies, it's you both respawn. Get good.
Yeah. Halo Legendary. I used to play because Halo was one of the games I used to play a lot of, because when I first got my Xbox, I had basically just Halo. So I used to play Halo 1 over and over and over again. You'd do dumb runs where you do like melee only. And just dumb stuff like that. And yeah, Legendary was not a fun thing to do at all.
Yeah.
It was a genuine struggle, which is good because that's what you want out of a Legendary kind of difficulty. And terrible. So
I'm gonna go with one last thing before we wrap up real quick. How are you with like mystery puzzle solving games?
Terrible. I'm terrible at puzzle games. The worst. I'm making this real hard for you, aren't I?
Well, no, because I can, first of all, I consider Ghost Runner a win that I suggested it to you and you already loved it. So I kind of got the vibe to it. This one is have you heard about the Return of the Obra Dinn?
No, never heard of it.
It's a game. The guy who made this game called Papers, Please made it. I don't know if you heard about that. It was a game where you stamp passports on in a third world country during the war.
Yeah.
It's stunning and beautiful. It's one of my favorite sad games ever. And The Return of the Obra Dinn is basically a game where it has a great unique art style that isn't like AAA gorgeous, but artistically very pretty.
Yeah, so I'm good with that.
Where basically a ship called the Obra Dinn goes missing, and then it suddenly reappears, and the entire crew is missing. You basically play an insurance guy whose job is to go onto the ship and find out and document what happened to every single member of the crew. And now the fun part of it is that you basically, the gamey part of it, is you have this magic pocket watch called the Memento Mori, where you can find a body and you can click the pocket watch and it brings you back to the moment of death of the person. So you hear like 5 seconds of dialogue, and then you hear like a gunshot, and then it brings you to this like silhouette of the person getting shot. And you can walk around it, you can look at different things, you can like see people, and you bring out your little book and you hear the dialogue, and you're just like, "Captain, we hate you," or whatever, "How dare you do this?" And then you hear the gunshot. So then you can assume that the person who was shot was the captain. And how did he die? By being shot. So you just have to go into your book, and you just say you find who the captain is. You find captain was shot. And then you continue moving on, you find more bodies, and you find like the mystery of what happens on this ship is glorious. And I literally played it in one sitting because I couldn't put it down.
Wow. That's so fun.
It's different and interesting and very unique. And that's one of the things I love about indie games. I try to find unique experiences like Loop Hero, like Return of the Obra Dinn, like Her Story, like these weird, unique experiences that I want to play.
Yeah, I think that's a space indies feel really, really well. They have like they're not big AAA studios out to make like a shitload of money. They're just kind of like, we have this idea for a game and it sounds really cool, We're gonna give it a shot and see if it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. If it takes off, it takes off.
Because there's only like 3 of us, or I'm doing this by myself. Like, who cares?
Yeah, exactly. There's a one-man team. So, well, it's whatever. Yeah, if not, I learned some stuff and I can use that in the next game or whatever they decide to do. It's
I could put it on my resume at Dunkin' Donuts. We'll see what happens.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you can serve fries if you've made a game, right? Surely.
Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of selling things, I love my segues. How would you like to talk about some deals and freebies?
Yes.
I love deals and freebies. Everyone does. So
it's also why I like indie games, because they're cheap.
Yeah, it's also itch.io. I hadn't really heard much about that, but that's something we were talking about that on your cast a little. It was mentioned. It's been mentioned a few times in your cast. You guys use that quite a bit. I'm gonna have to start perusing.
Yeah, it's basically a website where like anyone can upload their game. A lot of them is pay what you can, and just you like them, just directly give them a couple bucks and play these really very unique experiences, and some of them evolve into bigger games.
Like it. That's something I'll definitely be looking at when I have some more spare time. So, over on PlayStation this week, and also if you feel free to butt in if you have experiences with these games.
I will butt if I need to.
Butt as hard as you like. Freebies this month are Final Fantasy VII Remake, which I've actually downloaded, guys, and I may play eventually. I've never played a Final Fantasy game, so...
You've never played a Final Fantasy?
Never played a Final Fantasy game. It's like, well, I've committed the great curse of gaming and never played Final Fantasy.
7's a good start. The 7 Remake's a good start in terms of gameplay. I don't know how much you love turn-based stuff, but...
It depends on the game.
It's very flashy. It is gorgeous. And the combat is very good when they're giving you good combat scenarios. The story goes off the walls towards halfway through or so, but still something you should very much play.
All right, excellent. Our next one is Remnant from the Ashes. I've heard very good things about this game. It's a freebie. I've also downloaded it. I may get to it at some point. It's also on Game Pass, I think, too. It's good.
Chris on the podcast plays that a whole lot. It's a great grindy shooter multiplayer thing that's supposed to be really fun and very well supported.
Yeah. We also have Destruction All-Stars, which is the weird car demolition derby, but you can run around and get out of it game. I'm not sold on this one. It looks interesting, but
I think it looks like a lot of fun, but I don't have a PS5 and it's PS5 exclusive.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's whatever, I guess. I mean, but if you are planning on getting a PlayStation 5, all the PlayStation 5 games are downloadable from the PlayStation website, and you can save them for when the scalpers decide to sell you one for $3,000. So if you've spent $3,000 on a PlayStation 5, you can at least get some free games to start you off. They've also now introduced another new freebie. The PlayStation are laying it on. They now have one VR experience free, which is called Farpoint, which is like a space exploration kind of game, which looked really interesting, kind of like a No Man's Sky-esque kind of deal in VR, which would be cool. And then they have Maquette, which is a first-person puzzle game. Oh, you know about this one? Because I have no idea. I
specifically love puzzle. There's two things with indies with me: puzzle games and sad games. I started playing games. One of the first games I got addicted to was Myst on the PC. So the Myst is like a hardcore, like slow-paced puzzler. Maquette we talked about last week. It's really interesting. Basically, it's a recursive puzzler, they call it, where there is a smaller version of the map, and then you're in a regular version of the map, and then there's a larger version of the map behind you. And when you interact with things in the smaller version of the map, it changes things in the larger and the larger version of the map. So if you move a block in the small version of the map to open up an area, you can go to that area now. If you use a key in the normal version of the area, and then you put it in the small version of the area, suddenly there's this giant key that you can use as like a bridge. So it does a lot of like perspective puzzles like that.
That sounds really interesting.
It's a really cool idea.
Yeah. So that's free on PlayStation. So I think that's the PlayStation 5 one as well, but if you want to get that, go for it. It sounds like a good time. PlayStation deal this week is Bloodborne for $16.21. A lot of fans out there love Bloodborne, love the Souls series.
Some people think that's still the best combat Souls has ever done.
Yeah, they've Souls wise anyway. I know
I'm a huge Sekiro fan.
Yeah. Sekiro was tight. I haven't played Sekiro yet. It's kind of on my list of things I need to do, along with maybe a Dark Souls game. I haven't played a Dark Souls game either, so
I would suggest Sekiro. It's the most approachable.
Yeah. I've also heard it's the hardest as well.
They're all hard. They're all hard. From soft game. There's no easy one.
They don't know what easy is. That's it for PlayStation. Over on Xbox this week, our Game Pass pick of the week is literally anything by Bethesda. With Bethesda and Microsoft now officially partnering even. They have over 20 Bethesda titles coming to Game Pass. So we're talking all the Dooms, Skyrim, Elder Scrolls.
I can
Dishonored.
play Skyrim again.
You can play Skyrim again, and I don't know if they're all coming to xCloud, but that means you'll be able to play also Skyrim on your phone. That's another way you can play Skyrim. And the 10th anniversary is coming up soon, so it should be interesting to see where we're going to be able to play it for the 10th anniversary. Maybe we'll be able to play it on microphones or something. No such thing as a sequel. Elder Scrolls 6 is a myth, and it will never happen.
There's a sketch about that. I think it's Keegan-Michael Key plays Elder Scrolls on an Amazon speaker or something. There's a joke, like April Fool's sketch.
Yeah, I've seen that one. Yeah, that was hilarious. I low key want that to happen though, because it just sounds like like you'd be playing D&D, which would be great. Our games with gold this week is Warface Breakout, first person shooty multiplayer game. Second one is Dundara, Trials of Fear Edition.
Like I mentioned before, the indie interview series that I do, I interview the Dundara people.
Oh, and that's really cool.
They're Brazilian indie game developers, two of them, and the game is so much fun. It is done. You don't move, you just jump. So you just jump from ceiling to floor and to all these spots, and it is a speedrunner's nightmare. Speedrunner's dream. But the thing is, it makes you feel like a speedrunner. Like 5 minutes into playing it, I'm just jumping all over the place, like shooting people and jump. It's a very good game. Play Dundara Trials of Fear. It's very hard and pretty and good, and it's a Metroidvania, so you get unlocks and stuff. It's very good.
That's cool, because I've seen this one come up. I've mentioned this before. It's one of those games that I always see in the freebies. Like, it's always free on Epic. It's like it's popped up in heaps of deals all the time, and I've been meaning to kind of get to it because it's just always there. But I'd never actually met anyone that had played it.
Yeah, I played it. I talked to the dudes who made it. You could listen to me talk to the dudes that made it on indie interviews. It's on all the different podcasts. Like, they're good guys.
Jackpot. Here we go. Perfect. Our third freebie is Metal Slug 3, which is a twin stick top-down shooter. They made 3 of them, so they must be.
Metal Slugs are just fun. They're just fun games. You just shoot a whole lot and run forward.
Over with our deals with the gold this week. Our deal is Almost There, the platformer, for $1.49 by the Quantum Astrophysics Guild. I've played a few. I've played a few games by these guys. Which is why I mentioned the developer specifically on this one. The Ambassador Timelines was one. It had a weird complex name. Hang on, I need to look it up. It was a twin stick magic styled shooter game.
The Ambassador's Fractured Timeline, not that one?
The Ambassador Fractured Timeline, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
That game made my top 5 for last year. It was stupidly hard. I think it would be right up your alley, actually. A lot of fun to play, very chaotic. And and a great little
This
story
game
to
reminds
it.
me of also began being a cheap gamer growing up. I lived off Flash games and free to play MMOs for a while. So this reminds me of like N plus and N plus plus and a lot of those like the Impossible games and shit that I played, and that looks really really good.
Yeah, so it's going for $1.49 on the Xbox Store. Again, I think this is on Steam as well for about $15, and
Yeah.
That's almost there. This is like a kind of a platformer where you're a ball and you kind of. It looks very Super Meat Boy.
Yes.
Yeah, which looks like a lot of fun, which are always insanely hard, and their puzzle platformer ones are always.
If you want to play a
difficult.
sad version of this game, because I always want people to be sad, there's a game called Thomas Was Alone, where you play as a brick, and it's a sad
I've heard of this
platform.
one. Yeah.
It's fucking great. If you want to get sad and play this game, play Thomas Was Alone. It's awesome.
Excellent. Over on the Switch this week, there is they've been doing this thing where they do like bulk sales a lot. They haven't had like individual kind of these games are cheap thing now. So they're doing like themed things, which is cool. So I'm going to start just bringing them up as a whole because there are a lot of good games in there I didn't really want to pick. But this week it's Square Enix. So things like Trials of Mana, Dragon Quest 1, 2, and 3, Final Fantasy 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, and 14, I think it was. They're all under about $30. So they're ranging from like $4 to 30. Most of them hitting that 10, 15 mark.
Do you want to take a guess of which one of those Final Fantasy is my favorite? Do you want to just take a wild guess?
9.
It was 9. How'd you know?
I saw the reaction. I was like, you were getting excited. I said Final Fantasy. I'm like, yep. And then I said 9. You're like, I'm like, yes, got him.
Final Fantasy 9 is my favorite. I've played all of them. I love them. But Final Fantasy 9 is...
Yeah. So yeah, if you're a big Final Fantasy fan, I've heard really good things about Dragon Quest too. And Trials of Mana is supposed to be fantastic. Great games.
The start screen goes, Trials of Mana. And we just make fun of it. It's a good game though. It has a funny start screen.
Yeah. Yeah, great games there. Under $30, so go and pick something up if you're. It's on the Switch, and it's not like you get cheap games on the Switch all the time. So especially when they're good ones too. Good to pick those up. Over on the Epic Store, our final freebie for this week, Surviving Mars, which is a sim strategy style game where you're building a society on Mars. I've heard really good things about this. Similar to what am I thinking? Not like Planet Coaster, but you have community to like keep alive. So it's like the city building kind of sim thing. But on Mars, so you know.
Yeah. I hear it's very, very good also. It also is very pretty. Some of these like base building games are getting like stunningly beautiful.
They are. I mean, well, they're not super demanding as far as gameplay and base mechanics go for the most part. So I mean, if they pump into the prettiness, it makes it a little more fun, especially when you build like big, vast kind of cities and all these really cool structures. You like, I'd love to see like games like this move into like having like more photo mode stuff, and you can go in and like just like sweep in and take like these really glorious shots. I know a few do it, but I'd like to see like lean to like 4K kind of like big beautiful things. That'd be great.
That'd be nice.
I love photo modes.
Photo mode's a good time.
Ghost of Tsushima's photo mode nearly broke me.
That was another game that was like, it was similar to Spiderman, where it's just big enough for me to do everything.
Exactly.
It was a great balance.
Yeah, I mean,
if you can play Tsushima, you can play Sekiro. Just telling you right now.
You reckon?
It's the same parry system.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can play Sekiro.
Sekiro is just kind of like there above me, just like looming, like I am this super fucking hard game, and I was like, okay, I'll go play this instead.
It is the only FromSoft. Yeah, it's the only FromSoft game I've beaten. I've played all of them. Sekiro is the only one I've beaten.
Right. I'll have to keep an eye out for a good deal or something on that when it comes up. because I do want to play it because it looks like a lot of fun. Like I've watched like little bits of boss fights, but not too much because I want to play it, and just everything looks so cool. That giant fucking monkey.
Yeah, I was about to say, did you watch that?
That looks fucking badass. It's just like this tiny little guy.
The final boss fights also are just brutal and beautiful.
Yeah, I love it.
Yeah, they look great. I had to like leave and come back a few days later. Like it was
so mad. It's like, you're beautiful, but I'm so mad at you. And I'll come back. I swear. Yeah. But that is all she wrote for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Can I add one other thing? I've been trying to get more people to take this seriously. There are a few deals and stuff on Stadia. I don't know how much you think about Stadia. I've been trying to preach the word of Stadia to people.
I liked the idea of Stadia.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like how they did Stadia. I feel like,
what do you mean?
At best, I know it's improved. Again, I'm an Australian. Things are a little different for me because Stadia is like, you need fucking fantastic internet for this to be viable. And I don't think they should have been releasing it like they did, as they did, without viable options for everybody, without stating that first, because they did tell us, if you have this, it will work perfectly for you. But seeing it in action, it wasn't ready. And I think that's a big part of why it failed. It wasn't ready. They didn't know what they were doing, and they didn't follow up with many of the promises that they kept. Again, loved it in theory. xCloud with Xbox, Project xCloud is doing a very similar thing, kind of, but it's working. I'm actually able to play that on my phone internet, of all things, which is wild. I was playing Tenuous Sacrifice on it, like replaying it through just to test it out.
That's a great game.
Really, really cool.
Yeah.
It is a great game.
I will agree with you on that, and I do agree with the fact that I think game streaming is a very important thing, and I think it'll be a huge thing in the future. Whether Stadia is like the premier or xCloud is like the premier, they've gotten better. I would suggest maybe trying another one. I don't know how long has it been since you've tried a Stadia game. I would suggest trying another one. They've tweaked their servers and stuff and made it a little bit better. But I don't work for Google, and I don't know your internet, so if it doesn't work for you, I completely understand.
Yeah, I haven't. That's the other thing too, was that the initial pricing model was like kind of
and they didn't have any fucking games.
Exactly, like there was no reason for me to get Stadia. Like my internet's trash. I've played all these games already. There was like one new one there, I think. I was like kind of, and then now that they're kind of closing Stadia down. Stadia Studios.
Not really. They're just closing down. Yeah, they're just closing down their studios to focus on what your problems are, just to have it like stream better. Yeah. I don't know why I'm defending Google so much. They're a huge company. They don't need me to defend them. I don't know why I go from defending like 2-person indie game teams to like defending Google. Like, what am I doing?
It's all about balance, man. You've got to be on both ends of the scale, right?
Right. I love this game by this single person who makes these unique experiences. But hey, man, be nice to Google.
Google's all right. They're just having a hard time, Anyway, let's hear them.
I linked them to you. But
you linked them to me.
Yeah.
Where'd they go?
I put it in a little chat for you. It's nothing crazy. I just popped it up. There's the things that look really, really interesting is Spiritfarer, which is a beautiful indie game.
Oh, I've heard gorgeous things about Spiritfarer. A few people have played it, said it's amazing.
We cried a few times about that. It's on sale for like $22.
It's not
some of these I own, so I can't.
By the way, you need to sign in to do this.
Forget it. Yeah. Fuck Stadia. Fuck you, fine. Google.
Fuck Stadia. No. Yeah, if Spiritfarer's on sale, how much was it?
$22.
$22. Great game. Go and play it if you have Stadia. Fantastic. That is it for this week, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening. Peter, thank you so much for joining me and having you on your cast. I will of course link the episodes and all your podcast shenanigans in the description below. But for those who are listening and can't be bothered finding links right now, where can we find you and your things on the internet?
So we are on all podcast platforms similar to you, with iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play Podcast, the Google people. You can check us out at howdoijump.com. On Twitter, HD1Jump, HD the number 1 jump. HD1_jump on Instagram. We have a Patreon with content and stuff on it. If you don't want to hear ads and bonus stuff, we do extra podcast and also a fan fiction book club where we choose a different game and we read fan fiction from it every Monday. And it's fucking great. So check us out, patreon.com/howdoijump, or just all that stuff's at howdoijump.com.
Beautiful. If you'd like to keep in touch with our podcast, if you haven't already, because I'm 113 episodes deep. If you're listening and you're not new, you should know this shit by now. You can find us on Twitter at left_pod. We also are now on Instagram at 2 Left Thumbs Podcast, where I sometimes put up clips and shit from the video version. You can also find the video version uploaded on YouTube by the weekend, normally Friday nights. I get it up, depends on how life is going and render times, because they're a joy. Links to the YouTube will be down in the description because we don't have a nameplate yet. We're working on that. I've got some plans in motion for some cool shit on YouTube as well. I just need more time to do it. I'm Deft Puppies. You know where to find me. Twitter, Twitch, all those wonderful places. Deft_Puppies with a Z. Ladies and gentlemen, again, thank you so much for watching. Hope you had a great time. Have a fantastic week of gaming. And I'll talk at you next time. Bye.
Bye.